This is 6:31 and I'm calling this meeting to order of the City of Martindale City Council. And I will call roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Sonia Villalobos. Sonia? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay, there she is. Council member Lisa Shell Allen.
Here.
Thank you. Council member Jan Bunker. I don't think Jan's on with me.
No, she's not.
She's out of town.
Council member Mike McLeod.
There.
Council member Sam Clinton.
Here.
And Mayor Catherine Glaze is here. Okay, so we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And that, please remain standing for the pledge to the Texas flag. We did print out some. We forgot to put it on the agenda. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. And I will do the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we just are humbled to come into your presence, Lord God. And we just ask for your guidance upon everything that we do and say in this meeting tonight as we have been elected to guide the city of Martindale. And we just ask all this in your precious son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the first thing, I just wanted to just touch briefly on the tree lighting. As stated before, Mayor Davini had told us that there was a resolution a year ago that the city would sponsor the 4th of July and the tree lighting. The word sponsor was not clearly defined, but he felt that it meant providing support for these events. So I reached out to the library and just asked if they were going to be in charge of it or whatever. And I was told to contact Cindy Coburn. So I have done that and I have not heard back from her yet. I even tried going to her house this morning and they were not there. So I will talk to her as soon as possible. If anybody has any suggestions as to what to do with the tree lighting thing that the city does, or who else might be in charge, or anything to do with the tree lighting, I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so that's all I have to report. We have the next item is about the park system, and we have so much to talk about tonight that I'm thinking that we might want to pass on this. Could I have a motion to table this item?
A motion to table this item, discussion action to approve park maintenance contract for an independent contractor not to exceed $1,200 for the remainder of the fiscal year 2021.
Thank you, and can I have a second?
Second.
And having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
When would you like to put it on the next agenda? When do you
The
have it?
next meeting.
August 3rd or,
Mhm.
okay. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I have
if there's-
discussion, please?
Yes,
So I'm looking, if we do and when we do, can we get supporting documents sent in regards to like the contract, what's going to be proposed? That way we have the information ahead of time.
yes, we can do
Thank
that.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, everyone who would like to see this table, please say aye.
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 Sonia Villalobos, aye.
Thank you. Okay, so that item is now tabled. Okay, so Jared?
Yeah, so on the discussion on the tax rate, late this afternoon, we received updated certified rolls on our property taxes. I'm in the process of reviewing those and intend to reach out to the Caldwell County CAD to follow up on our tax rate calculations. So for tonight, there's nothing additional to add. And I'll take another look at the timelines and see if we need to have a special meeting, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll just sneak into the timelines if we delay this until August 3rd. And then we could have publish the draft notice and then the budget draft and schedule our public hearing 30 days after that, which puts us in September. And then we'll have to have it delays us somewhat, so we'll probably be looking at adopting the budget probably mid-September at this point, unless we have the ability to schedule a special session to look at it. I don't have a proposal to do that quite yet because I haven't looked at the materials and don't know how much of a difference it's going to be. So once I get that, I'll advise the mayor on whether we need a special session or not. And we'll go from there.
Okay.
Any questions?
So then the county notifies us on a certain time frame, and then this will apply to 2022 tax rate structure.
It impacts the fiscal year 22 budget, but it's on properties during calendar year 21. I believe that's how it works. They're a little off cycle, but it works out so where we get the property tax revenues in January, and we set that budget, and we set the rate for the year during our budget setting portion.
Okay.
There's a lag somewhere. I might have misstated that.
So
It
you
might be
start getting the revenue in October from the tax rate that's set in the summer,
right.
that was on values that were established on January 1.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Hope that's what y'all wanted to know.
Yeah. I was trying to communicate it, but I did not communicate that as clearly as you did. So appreciate it.
And they have until January 31st to pay.
Of
But
the
they get the
following
bills
year.
in October.
So the most recent notice we got would include any changes that may have happened in their appraisal of certain properties. And so that can fluctuate a little bit. Typically not a lot, but we'll see with this one. That's all I have for the discussion on this, unless there's any other questions.
Is there any other questions about the budget before we move on? Lisa or Sonia?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I just got these documents just a little bit ago as far as the golf cart. Sonia, can you speak to the golf cart ordinance that we got?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I can. So it was at one of our meetings that it was discussed about golf carts, and it got me, I started thinking about, like, do we have a golf cart ordinance? Like, what are our rules about operating golf carts on city streets? So I did some research, and upon the research, Martindale does, I believe there is, but it's just like, we kind of tend to look the other way, or have. There should be clear parameters set, for operating golf carts on city streets. I did, Lockhart has a golf cart ordinance. So I kind of, looked at theirs, what they have, and then, kind of like just drafted it to where it would fit for Martindale. And, just to make it very clear, I am pro golf cart as long as it's done, legally, and as long as, the safety of our citizens is first and foremost. So, I've done the research, but yeah, I wanted it on the agenda just to see what other council members thought. Do you think a golf cart ordinance, with legal parameters on Martindale city streets is something that we need?
Councilmember Villalobos, this is Lisa Shell Allen. I definitely think we need to have some type of parameters set forth. In so doing the research that you've done, what are some of the either requirements or rules around it that you found in other cities?
Okay, so there's operation of golf carts on streets, which include the speed limit. The golf carts on, do we want them crossing Highway 80? Do we want them crossing, 1327, or 1979, I'm sorry, Highway 80? The permitting process and the decal. What I saw that there's an annual fee for permitting the decal is $75, which pays for the city's administrative costs and processing, name and address of applicant and owner, the location where the vehicle is stored, the model make, and most importantly, driver's license. So there's that. There is a revocation of permit. Your permit could be revoked if you fail to abide by the rules and regulations, or the owner or driver of a golf cart fails to abide by state and or city traffic laws, or if you fail to maintain proof of financial responsibility or permitting period while it's on the streets. There's required equipment, which if you go, I'm sure we've all been to the beach. I've been here in Martindale and seen some golf carts at night with no headlamps, no lights. So there's required equipment, which would be side reflectors, rear view mirrors, turn signals, a horn, a brake, operational brake lights, a seat belt for operator and passengers, operation, regulations, which are also, all of this is like the state of Texas has like a code that is set forth in transportation codes. It also has like the penalties, and that's about it. It's just saying, it's just basically saying, as a city, if we're going to allow golf carts on our city streets, that number one, we don't want kids driving around the streets, just at their free will, and that we just turn a blind eye to that, just out of safety for golf cart drivers and for unpermitted drivers or non-licensed drivers. We want them just to be safe and follow some parameters that we set forth as a city.
Thank you.
Yes, Ken?
So what this is by and large driven by is chapter 551 of the Transportation Code. It sets, so as a general law municipality, we may do things that are consistent with the general laws of the state of Texas. Councilmember Villalobos, I think that what you're looking at is certainly consistent with that. But there are ordinances that are drafted in the spirit of chapter 551, identifies where golf carts can be driven, the general speed limit, which is roads 35 miles an hour or less, certain crossings, but the law is designed to keep these things safe. So we generally track that. We would be doing something that is very common with other municipalities in the state.
Mm-hmm.
quick question, Sonia, is there an minimum age requirement for operating a golf cart?
They need driver's license. So
Oh,
whatever
driver's
driver's license age is.
After 16, okay. That's my question.
You mentioned permit, Sam Clinton asking, what if a younger person, 16-year-old, has a permit and the adult is sitting with them in the vehicle? Many times I see that where it's not a juvenile driving it by itself, but the parent is in the vehicle with them. What, does anybody know if that's included in being permissive?
I think if you're a permitted driver in the state of Texas, that it is a requirement that if it's a learner's permit, your parent is with you anyway. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, if we're sharing the streets with licensed drivers and golf cart drivers are sharing our roads with, you know, licensed drivers, we want them to follow the law.
And it doesn't actually, as far as actual driver's license, I do not believe it has to be the parent. It has to be someone with a license over the age of 18 or 21. It's one or the other.
An adult in the vehicle with the person with the permit.
Correct.
Okay. And was there something about decals and having that triangular reflective decal on the back of the golf cart?
Yeah, that's under chapter 551 as well.
551, okay,
Yeah,
of the
part two.
transportation code, okay.
And so the question that I have is that typically golf carts do not have blinkers. And so if in fact somebody had a golf cart or, you know, they're the like, I'm assuming they would be able to use hand signals just like you can in a vehicle. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if that's part of the transportation code.
Look here.
Yeah, because you mentioned blinkers, but I'm not sure I've seen golf carts with blinkers,
Turn signals.
turn signal blinkers, yes.
So this what I read from, it's directly from the DTCA Transportation Code 551.404 A, and it was as amended, and that's how it has in the city of Lockhart. So the stuff that I was looking at is, you know, our neighbors right down the road. On here it says operational headlamps and tail lamps, side reflectors, and operational parking brake, rear view mirrors, operational turn signals, and operational electric automobile horn, properly operational brakes, operational brake lights, seat belts for the operator and all passengers, and a slow-moving vehicle sign as required by state law. The equipment required by this division and its installation shall meet standards and shall be maintained as provided by the Texas Transportation Code as amended.
Presently, all the transportation code requires is headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, parking brake, and mirrors. So they went above and beyond, and we could certainly require more if we wanted to.
Oh, so the code that she's referring to is Lockhart's code.
That's right. That's
That
Lockhart's
is the
code.
amended code, but not it's other than what the state transportation code requires.
Right. So we could hypothetically require more, but we could not require less.
Are blinkers in the state code?
No.
No. Could you name the items once more, please?
Headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, parking brake, and mirrors.
Headlamp, tail lamp, reflecting,
It's right here. It's on the screen.
oh, sorry.
I'll share screens for
There
those
you go.
who are on.
Reflectors, parking brake and mirrors.
Just to ask a question, to throw it out there, do we want to have it, say, do you want to separate, have it for day use, night use?
There's limits on that under here as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're different, definitely different going night and day.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
that's my question.
Brakes and mirrors. And then under this transportation code, are the vehicles registered with the state or not? No.
Because you can't.
Okay.
Lockhart,
Lockhart's requiring that.
yeah.
Registering with the municipality though. That's
so
the
we-
difference.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's permitting, with a permit decal is attached to the golf cart carrying a serial number corresponding to the number of the golf cart. So there's a golf cart permit fee,
Through the city.
yes, for the city.
I guess my question, to rephrase it, do we want to have a little more, say, to use it day use only? Do we have a little more lenient on that to be,
You guys can pick.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, there's a big difference between day use and night use. I don't know if we want to go into that detail, because a lot of people just strictly use it during the daytime, you
Sure.
know? I'm just throwing that out there.
Whatever you guys want to
Yeah.
decide.
I see people using them at night on Friday and Saturday night because they come to Main Street
Okay.
and then leave at night. So it would seem like if you had a headlamp, a tail light, a reflector, parking brakes, mirror, those things would suffice for use in the evening.
Okay. I'm just discussing, throwing it out there.
I do see them at night though on Main Street.
A lot of them.
And like I said, I'm pro golf cart, but I think like as long as there's safety involved and there's parameters that, citizens are aware of, that, that's gonna keep everyone safe.
Sounds like a good idea.
For all practical purposes and for specifically our city at this point, I would prefer to see us follow the state guideline. The blinkers, that's something you would have to have installed. That's just not standard typically. So I would not want to require that. So I'm on board with the state requirements. And I'm also on board with night or day. I would not want to see any restrictions with that.
How do you feel about permitting them, having the people come in and permit them?
Absolutely
Okay.
permitted. And then
Did-
we would
did-
just have to decide what that fee would be.
Lisa, did you say night or day or night and day?
4 hours.
That they have those 5 things.
Repeat that, please.
24 hours a day. No restriction.
24 hours a day. Okay, I agree with that.
And just so I'm clear, the requirement for the permit would just to ensure that they have the safety equipment that as required under the ordinance.
So that means we have to inspect them too,
Right,
before we give them a permit.
right.
And then is that permitting, is that an annual thing or is that every however often, or is it just a one-time deal?
Probably once a year.
Yeah, as least burdensome to the city staff as we can make it, but still ensure a safe environment for the city.
Well said.
You don't have to issue a permit. You could simply make it legal for people to drive golf carts that meet certain standards. And then in the event that someone, I don't know, let's say they drive a golf cart without headlamps, then the city would have the option of issuing a citation for violation of the code of ordinances. But you don't have to have someone reach out, request a permit, get a permit. You just make sure you see someone that's doing something that violates the ordinance, you can address it through a citation.
Mhm.
And who
Yeah.
would be issuing that citation? Would that be the police officers or? I mean, if we had a code enforcer, I guess that person could issue a citation as well.
Correct.
Okay.
So it says here that they can cross Highway 80? They cross that highway at an
No,
intersection?
no, because
Not more.
the speed limit would exceed 35. So they would be bound to only traveling on roads that are 35 miles per hour or less. And that would include Highway 80.
We had always one of them on highway. No. Just bad enough in a car.
But we do have portions of 1979 within the city limits that has a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Yes.
There's only portions, say, closer to 80 or closer to the bridge that is 45 miles an hour. So say around Fannin and Allen Bates Park and Main Street, those intersections are permissive for going from, say, one side of town to the other.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would think I like our attorney's recommendation of not having the permitting at this time. That is just something that is just another layer of paperwork and office work for our staff. So I like the notion of just adhering to the parameters of the state transportation code, chapter 551.
So Mayor, if you're okay with it, no action can be taken, but if you're okay with it, Sonia and Jared and I can work on a draft and have it ready for the meeting.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we have had children driving the golf carts, and I think that's what brought this up.
Like 12-year-olds.
Sylvia, we did have copies of this, didn't we? Jerry?
Yes,
Oh,
you
yeah,
would
this-
direct me.
There was,
back.
there's a copy of Lockhart's ordinance we're late in printing them out, but they're printed and I can forward an email with the language. But I think what's going to happen though, it's going to be a little bit overcome by events of tonight, based off of the city council's recommendation that we follow the chapter 551 in the crafting of our ordinance. And then, because Lockhart's goes a little above and beyond.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
agree,
it
I
goes
agree.
way up.
I
Um,
agree.
I don't think I've ever seen a cart in one car.
there must have been one at one time.
Okay.
So we'll go with that.
Okay, any more discussion on golf carts or?
I have here this section 56-281, and it refers to the city of Martindale. So where is that from? On the first page,
Okay.
section 56-281. Well, where is that out of? Because
This is copied and pasted from Lockhart's Code of Ordinances.
Oh, so someone pasted city of Martindale in there.
I did that. It was a draft that I sent to the mayor just as an example. So I did
Okay.
that.
Okay. I didn't know if that was an ordinance that we had in effect, and
No, sir.
so we have no ordinance currently? Or-
No, that's why we're talking about
I
this.
see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion on golf carts? Okay, then we're gonna move on to the adoption of construction and construction-related codes.
Okay, so I'll be walking us through this conversation real quick. It's all right.
And do we have copies of that? I guess we better pass that out. Yeah.
That's for later.
Oh,
that's
that's
correct.
something else.
So I want to just quickly point you to our current ordinance on building code. So when we adopted codes was in 2012, I think. At the time, many of the building codes were, the most recent were of 2009 vintage. Recently, the International Building Code came out with a 2021 version just in the last couple of months. And they do that about every 3 years. What I would like city council to consider is for next council meeting, I think is a pretty quick ordinance change. It's just replacing these codes with the most recent published version. So the International Building Code would be, 2021. Residential codes and mechanic codes and plumbing codes, fire codes, all those would be updated to the most recent code. And that would be the only change that I'd be looking for on this ordinance. And the benefit of that is that we're using the most up-to-date codes. Right now, the parts of Texas fall under more recent codes. Depending on if you're a state agency, you're following, I think, the 2015 building codes and residential codes as it pertains to the manufacture of pre-built homes and things. You frequently run into an issue of what code is the most recent. So at the next council meeting in August, what I'd like to do is just propose a quick change to these and get them updated. Been lagging along, and I just want to put that out there that I want to do that and see if there's any discussion or questions.
You will certainly not get any opposition from me. I believe it was probably 3.5 years ago that I proposed the exact same thing. Not sure why I got pushback. However, it certainly is something that needs to be done. So thank you for bringing it back to the table.
You're welcome.
Sounds reasonable to me.
And this would work hand in hand with our building permits and our inspectors, the Bureau Veritas.
Yeah. Yeah, they follow the codes that we adopt. And these codes set the requirements for building permits. And so we basically wholly adopt those codes and standards.
So you think people that have been building things, say, since 2012 have been working with our permits and Bureau Veritas, and they've been adopting these codes, or has the Bureau required them to adopt?
We've been
More
working,
recent
the codes in the city are the 2009 codes.
And so what that means is that people have the ability to follow the guidelines from 2009 for mechanical and energy and resident, all of that sort of stuff. However, you have contractors who, they're going to do it according to the code that they are licensed to do it by. But it's created a lot of confusion. And so, again, certainly needs to be done.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Good to me. Thank you.
That's all I had for that discussion on it.
Okay. So it is now 7:03 and we will, Lisa and Sonia, are you going to come down for executive session?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll give you 10 minutes.
Come on down.
Is that enough time?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break. Oh, I need a motion?
I second that. Oh, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we recess for 10 minutes to allow our council people to come to the meeting.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to break for 10 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 They're gone.
7:05.
Okay.
3 and blank. Sonia, talk. Yeah.
You get the fireworks?